On this Make It Once video, diving into my Zenith Stromberg carburetors. In each video, I'm trying to learn something new about a part or an old design. Sometimes I'm just trying to answer a question. Before I start, I look up diagrams and I try to find as many online opinions as I can. In this case, most online opinions prefer the SUs over the Strombergs. And it seems like Volvo even seemed to prefer the SUs, considering that the Strombergs were only used for a couple of years. So I don't have access to a lot of deep Volvo history, so I'm just going to be thinking about that as I go through the Strombergs in the next few videos and get them back into working order for my B20 engine.
Here's what I'm looking at. There's this, oh, I think it bent thing.
Did bend, so I'm going to have to straighten that out. If we look in here, the reason why I'm taking off the carbs is so that one falls okay. That one gets stuck. And then you also take a look, it's just coated in blow by. I'm going to take them off and clean them out. So there's no getting around all the noise. I don't know, that guy in the leaf blower just comes every day, it seems. But anyway, first thing we gotta do is take a look in here. And I'm seeing pink, which means that they put in ATF, which I think is sometimes acceptable. I actually bought the correct weight oil on this. So it comes with this little gasket here, but the original diagram does not have it, and this actual particular version didn't have it either. I think it's just supposed to have this aluminum crush washer. You can only use it once. So taking a look at this, I'm realizing that it's been gone through at least once and not taken care of well. So first hint is you see that screw has been kind of bent out of shape. And then there's one missing here. It should be similar to this, I believe, or some sort of little screw. And then this one doesn't seem right. It almost seems like they took out screws and didn't put the right ones back. So you take out this little one here, and that's countersunk in there. And so this is flat. This is the same as this one. It's correct here, but not there. So I'm not really sure what I'm going to do here, if I'm going to go through and try to correct all these things, but it makes it more difficult when things don't seem to be put back in the right place. I think the throttle bypass valve unit it may not be held together properly. So somebody opened it up. I think the whole thing, the sandwich, is supposed to come up, and there's two gaskets, one that holds it to the carb base and then one that holds it together. So I think there's two sets of screws, so these two take the whole thing off, and then these two are supposed to be the ones that hold it sandwiched, but this one was loose and that one was missing, and that's the wrong screw and that one was holding it down. This is going to be hard to see, but I found a screw that fit perfectly, the right threads. I put some Loctite on it, and when I cinched it down, a little bit of oil or gas or something squeezed out of this gasket here, so clearly it was not sealed. You can even see it. There's like a line of stuff that came out. So whoever disassembled this last time forgot a key screw to hold this all down. Not too much wear on that. It's really good. Nice and tight. So that's a really good sign. Oops. I'm gonna keep that spring on there. So I'm taking a look at the float and trying to adjust it. So this one's a little bit on the confusing side, but it's supposed to be flat here, and I'm bending this tab down in order to raise the float up. And you're supposed to, with the gasket removed and the gasket surface here, to the top corner of the float, so which is right there, it's supposed to be 11/16. So I'm reading 20 32nds, so that's 10/16. I need to go one more 16th. So what I've been doing is I just kind of lift it up, hold this, brace the float so I'm not pushing any pressure on the hinge, and then I kind of slight bends at a time, just a slight bend at a time. So I think that's good. So again, then you needle, and you're bending the tab so that the float doesn't overflow the chamber. So technically you're not supposed to grease throttle shafts, and this is really tight fitting, but there is a tiny bit of wear. So I'm going to put a minuscule amount of bearing grease. So when I was disassembling it, this weight fell out, and at first I thought it was the tag, serial number tag, but I don't see any numbers anywhere on it, and it feels like a lead weight, like it's heavy. And that's what maybe this wire is. I thought maybe it attached to this bolt on the bottom. If anybody has any ideas what this is, I think it came from inside. I have a feeling maybe it was some sort of like damper weight, but I have no idea where it goes, and it looks destroyed, so I'm gonna leave it out. So I'm down to the last screw here. Oh, you know what? I put this in backwards. That hole is supposed to be on the back side. So I put the rubber gasket in place, but I didn't line up everything. There's actually a little indent that's supposed to hold it and stuff, so I need to rearrange it a little bit. So I was trying to line up the holes with the little tab here, and I didn't realize there's actually another tab in here. So as long as you get that tab lined up, everything else goes into place. So yeah, there we go, all lined up. So now it should go back in. Just gotta line up the needle, line up the tab, and those tool holes are in the back there. After taking apart the Weber 3236 and now the Stromberg, I learned that as beautiful as the carburetor science is, these parts are designed to take a beating when they're in the car and taken apart and rebuild over and over again. They're very robust. So once we get some dashpot oil in there, it's going to be good to go, nice and smooth. So I'm ready to put this car back onto the car. When I started, the sun was actually coming around the other side, so it's taken all day long to kind of get to this point with all the other errands and everything I had to do in between. If you look at the kit, I didn't use much of it. I didn't take off the compensating valve. I didn't take off the bypass valve. So all I ended up using was one O-ring for this bottom part, the diaphragm, and I'm going to switch out the O-ring for the dash pot, and I'm going to use this one. But I can't quite mount it to the car yet because this is a non-Volvo specific carb kit or gasket kit. So it has this square one to mount it. But then on the Volvo it has the heat shield right behind it, and then there's another gasket. So I'm going to have to make a gasket for that second one. So I'll switch out that last O-ring, and then I'll just hang it on the car until I make that gasket.